Look, I know what you're thinking. Roman, again? Really? Yeah, really. And I'm about to tell you exactly why this is the only play that makes sense for WrestleMania 42. So let's set the scene. Drew McIntyre is your WWE Champion right now. He beat Cody in that 3 stages of hell match with a little help from Jacob Fatu. Now Cody's out here in the Rumble trying to be only the 3rd person ever to win it 3 times. But here's the thing. We've seen Cody versus Drew, like a lot. That match has been run into the ground with basically 0 crowd heat. You put that at WrestleMania? Dead on arrival. Now I know Dave Meltzer was out here saying Cody versus Roman Part 3 was the plan for Mania 42. And honestly, that should be the plan. But there's one problem. Cody doesn't have the belt anymore, and there's no rematch clause, so he can't just walk into Vegas and demand a title shot. He's gotta earn it. That's literally what the Rumble is for. But hold on. If Cody wins the Rumble and faces Drew for the millionth time at WrestleMania, that's not compelling television. That's not a Mania main event. That's a random SmackDown that somehow got booked in a stadium. Nobody's hyped for that. Here's where it gets spicy. Remember Clash at the Castle, Scotland, Drew's big moment? CM Punk dressed up as a referee and absolutely screwed Drew out of the World Heavyweight Championship in his own country. That was brutal. That was personal. And here we are in 2026 with Drew finally as champion, and you know what would be poetic justice? Drew getting to be the one doing the screwing for once. Let Roman win the Rumble, come to WrestleMania, and Drew, in front of an actual crowd this time, not an empty pandemic arena, gets to defend his title, keep his title, and cement himself as the guy by beating the final boss. That's a story. That's compelling. Drew finally getting his revenge arc, his vindication, his WrestleMania moment that actually matters with people in the building. Now, let me address the elephant in the room. What about Bron Breakker? What about Trick Williams? What about Femi? First off, Bron doesn't need the Rumble to get a rematch with CM Punk. You know what he needs? Elimination Chamber. Bron wins Chamber, he gets his shot at Punk, simple as that. Done deal. He doesn't need to be wasting a Rumble spot when there's a whole other premium live event specifically designed to create #1 contenders. As for Trick and Oba, love them both. Genuinely think they're going to be superstars. But they just got called up. Trick's been on SmackDown for like 3 weeks. Oba just vacated the NXT title and is barely on the main roster. You cannot tell me with a straight face that either of them is ready to main event WrestleMania in Vegas this year. That's not a knock on them, it's just reality. They need time to build, to establish themselves, to let the casuals who don't watch NXT figure out who they are. Rushing them into a Mania main event does nobody any favors. Roman Reigns? He's the only viable option left standing. He's established, he's a draw, he's Roman Reigns. The story writes itself. Drew versus Roman, champion versus Rumble winner, the guy who finally got his moment versus the guy who dominated for 1,316 days. And look, if you really want that Cody versus Roman trilogy, you don't need the belt for it. Their history is deep enough that they can have that match at SummerSlam, at Survivor Series, wherever. It doesn't need to be at WrestleMania with a belt on the line. Sometimes the best feuds are just about the grudge. So yeah, Roman wins the Rumble, Drew keeps the title at Mania, Bron wins Chamber and faces Punk, Trick and Oba get built up properly throughout the year, everybody wins. Because the alternative? Cody wins the Rumble, faces Drew again in a match nobody wants to see, WrestleMania 42 has a wet fart of a main event, and we all sit there wondering why WWE fumbled the bag. Roman Reigns is winning the Royal Rumble. That's not a prediction, that's just common sense. Acknowledge him.